I'm here in beautiful South Africa, and today, guys, we're joined with a great guest star. We're going to be joining Lance, and today we're going to be doing something cool with some deadly snakes. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Welcome to CrittaCam. Today, guys, I'm joined by Lance, my good buddy Lance here in South Africa, and more importantly, look, check out the cool shirt, the new cool design. Look at that. Hey, Cartoon Pete. Crazy as it is. Now, Lance has luckily enough caught us something I have hardly ever seen. It's a beautiful puff adder. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous animals. Remind me so much of the Australian death adders. Now, I'm going to get Lance here to do the real dangerous stuff because, you know, I'm a bit scared of venomous snakes. So,
me too.
So I'll get Lance to pop him out on the ground so we get a good view of him. And then what we're going to do is this animal has been caught and it's going to be relocated. So we're actually releasing it in this beautiful environment. Check this out. Look at the backdrop here. It's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. All right. So unlike the Australian death adders, that are short, stout, chunky little animals. And typically, you know, it's a bit of contention here between South Africa and Australia, yet once again, who has the fastest strike rate. But more importantly, in Australia, we know the death adders have fang lengths of about 10 millimeters, which is about 1 centimeter, you know, for an animal about 60 centimeters. But this is the crazy thing, guys. Once this guy comes out, we'll get Lance to do his thing here. And like I say, it's one of those animals you really shouldn't be taking risks with. It's a very fast animal. Look at that gorgeous creature there. Look at the colors pop. Ooh. All right, Lance, tell me all about this beautiful creature.
Okay, so this one here was caught in someone's house. Their dogs actually told them about it. So we got called to come and catch the snake. They told me it was a big yellow and black hissy thing. And generally in KZN, where we are now, means it's a puff adder. So throughout South Africa, they'll pretty much take whatever color their terrain is in. So you can see this one has got a lot of black with yellow striping, which means it's often in the coastal bush, which will mean it's got a lot of dappled light coming through. So that dark and yellow kind of fits well into the coastal bush. Now, these snakes are quite well known as one of the most dangerous snakes in Africa. It doesn't mean it's the most venomous snake. It means it bites the most people. And that pretty much is just because of their proximity to human beings and what they feed on. They love rats. Rats love humans because we're quite dirty creatures. And that will often put them in contention with people. So the reason this snake bites so many people is it doesn't like to move off. It will often just stay in one place, and it will use that cryptic coloration to try and blend in, and that's his main form of defense. So once he knows he's been spotted and he can't get away with just trying to hide, he'll often bite out, and that's what Peter was talking about in contention of quickest striking snake in the world. In my opinion, they're both quicker than me, so it doesn't matter who's the quickest, they'll both get me.
So true, so true.
So large fangs, around 2.5 centimeters. You find them all the way throughout Africa, all the way to the top. Towards the equator, they're getting a lot bigger. So this is pretty decent sized puff adder for South Africa. But once you're getting up to Togo and places like that, 2-meter snake, much worse.
So 2-meter snake, fang length is obviously got to be substantially bigger, right?
A little bit bigger than that, Jar. So you're looking at maybe 3.5, getting up to gaboon sizes almost. So really big snake, really strong snake, and a destructive cytotoxic venom. It's just going to totally destroy all of your flesh and just rot it all away. So most people actually die from the snake bite because the venom from the snake will take around 24 hours to kill you. However, it's the secondary infection that'll get you, because most of the bites from the snake are in really, really rural areas. And because they're happening in rural areas, people don't often have the ability to go to a hospital or something like that and get their wounds cleaned and treated, and secondary infection will set in, gangrene, and that's a little bit more dangerous than what the snake bite itself is. So
basically their flesh is rotting off, and then you're open to septic or, you know, blood poisoning as well. Horrendous bite. That's absolutely crazy. And what's the mode of reproduction for these guys? Because the Australian death adders, live bearers, you know. You know, they can have anywhere up to, you know, 12 or 14 babies. Some species are a little bit bigger, some are a little bit smaller, obviously, and it all goes on body size and ratio and localities. So what's the average for these sort of guys?
So this is where a record that the puff adder does have, that the death adder doesn't have. Puff adders, live bearing, and they also hold the record for the most amount of babies from one snake. A puff adder, I believe it was at a zoo somewhere in Europe, in excess of 150 babies from one snake. I mean, that must have been
a big
massive snake.
That had to be a thumper.
A massive snake. But generally, you're looking at about 20 to 30 babies is a normal range for our South African ones. But the further up in Africa you go, the bigger they get.
I just can't get away from how gorgeous it is, and the patterning. It has these sort of like sculpted patterns from head to tail. And like you say, they're designed to be hiding in this sort of leaf litter and the dappled lighting sort of areas. very similar to death adders as well. Very angular head. I mean, death adders aren't a true adder as such. They're still an elapid.
But
These
filling the
guys?
same niche.
Yeah, fulfilling the same niche, different continent. And these eyes seem to be a lot further towards the nose than on a death adder. The death adders would sort of be slightly further back, but there again, I mean, absolute gorgeous creature. Absolute gorgeous. And what's even better than all this is the fact that it's come out of somebody's house that could have been killed. It's getting a second chance at life. And I mean, it's people like you putting your lives at risk to help save these creatures. You're absolutely amazing. Well, I guess let's let him go.
You have the honours there.
I get the honours.
You get the honours. You put him in the bush there.
Going in here, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they're not the easiest things to put on a hook, right? They
No.
don't really like to sit on a hook
No,
too
they
much.
either sit great,
Well, there we go.
or they give you a bit of work.
Yeah, well, look at this even better.
There we go.
I don't even have to do anything. He's heard that we're going to let him go. And look at that mode of locomotion. It's like a caterpillar. It sort of crawls. It doesn't really slither. It actually crawls up the bank. And that is absolutely drop dead gorgeous looking creature. Off you go, little fella. Come on. This way. You can do it. How absolutely amazing is that? I tell you what, that was absolutely amazing. Thanks, Lance, so much,
It's
man.
a pleasure,
Really
Peter.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the help, man.
Man, I tell you what, South Africa's been a blast, and Lance, he's an absolute champ. Thanks for watching CrittaCam.